Hello, I'm Marsha Ogden. Welcome to my podcast, Directory of a Dream Life 50 Plus. It's for anyone who's passed that milestone, like me, by a long chalk, and who, like me, has realised that we could be on this earth for another 30 or 40 years. So let's make the best of it. Welcome to episode 25 of the Directory of a Dream Life 50 Plus podcast. This one's called My Best Life Journal. No guest, because guess what? It's all about me this week because it's here and I've been excitedly posting out the early bird orders that we had for the journal. Sorry you had to wait a bit. I hope you'll be very happy with it. I'm going to offer one up as a prize in a competition this week. So listen into the podcast and you'll find out all about that. In this week's episode, I'm going to answer some of the questions that have been asked about my Best Life Journal over the last few weeks and months. But before I do that, I just want to say that going forward, this podcast is going to link more with our Facebook and Instagram presence by way of competitions and shareable stuff. So please like, share and review this podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. And remember to like and follow us on Insta and Facebook. The links are in the notes anyway. It's competition time. I'm giving away one hardbacked copy of My Best Life Journal, plus the bonus meditation tracks, to the winner of our competition. That person will be announced on the podcast this time next week. So, to enter, just go to my Facebook page, Marsha at Gurgle It, the link's in the show notes below. And on there you'll see a post that will tell you how to go about entering. Good luck! Did you enter last week's competition to win that gorgeous Bertie Bear and copy of Caroline James' book, The Best Boomerville Hotel? Well, it's going to run until this evening. A winner will be chosen and contacted through Facebook Messenger, and will announce who it is on Facebook and Instagram when they've claimed their prize. So if you haven't entered yet, you've still got today to do it, up to 6 o'clock. Just scroll back a bit through the posts on our Facebook page until you find the blue image of Bertie Bear with his Christmas hat on. Our Facebook link is in the show notes. The most obvious question that I get asked is, why did I write it? Why did I create my Best Life Journal? Well, for a couple of reasons. One is that I have made huge changes to my life just over the last few years. And everything started to fall into place when I began keeping a daily journal. This is not keeping a diary like we might have done in the old days. You know, went to school, came home, or did the shopping, went to the dentist. This is journaling, as in monitoring where you are now against where you want to be. As a little girl, for a period, I did keep a diary in the traditional way. And then as a teenager, I did actually used to keep quite a private log of my thoughts. But it's not something that I'd carried on into adulthood. And I came across journaling quite by accident because over the last few years I've been buying course after course and joining network groups, etc., to learn digital marketing. Now, I have wasted an awful lot of money in this way. I need to add as well. But I have made some successes. And I only started making the successes when I decided to do what I was told to do. And that was to keep a daily journal. See, for a good couple of years, whenever that was part of the instruction, I just ignored it because I didn't get how it could possibly benefit me. and what on earth it had to do with the course for whatever it was I was learning at the time. And as I became more aware of personal development, this quote kept cropping up to the effect of that which cannot be measured cannot be improved. So I started thinking, well, all these guys are a lot further along the happiness spectrum, success spectrum than I am. Maybe I'll take a leaf out of their book after all. Everybody stresses the importance of consistency, and the only way to measure it is through journaling. So I started to journal, and it's quite addictive. It hooks you in. And the discipline of learning to journal and remembering to journal and enjoying it and celebrating your successes was the start of what I would say was my success so far. Journaling can solve any problem you've got in your life. It helps you to realise that you are in control. Journaling helps you realise that. You know, people still go on about, well, I went to a bad school, or, oh, I didn't have a very happy home life. Well, it's the economy. Oh, this government. You can't do that. You are in control of you. And once you've opened your mind to the fact that change is possible, then change is possible. I won't tell you it's easy. Just getting into the routine of writing or ticking boxes each day is a discipline that you've got to learn. But if you approach it with enthusiasm, it becomes second nature. And, like I've said, if you are 50, 60 or older, we have developed bad habits. We have found ourselves in situations that we just now accept, but we don't like. And those are not going to disappear overnight. They've taken a lot of years to develop, so they're not going to go by magic. We are going to have to put some work in to reverse the situation, but it is doable. Forget this. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's just life. It's the way things happen. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Forget that. You can change. Do not accept anything other than your happiness. If you are genuinely happy, you're not saying that because you've just settled for what you've got and you've decided to give up, then that's great. You're happy, accomplished. Boom, job done. But I'm not. I think there's always room for more. There's always room to do better for myself and for my family. I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about creating a more fulfilled life. Ooh, that was all a bit deep, wasn't it? I didn't mean it to be. It's just that, I am quite happy to admit that I'm a work in progress and I've still got a long way to go. And hopefully I will have another 20, 30, maybe even 40 years to carry on that work. Anyway, back to the plot, the question, why did I write the journal? Well, through doing all this, what became really obvious to me is the fact that once you accept that change is possible, how the heck do you go about organising your life and organising your mind to take advantage of change? Because if you've looked into it, personal development isn't cheap. There are all sorts of courses and therapy sessions and one-to-one sessions, online meetings, and let's face it, they can be hundreds or even thousands of pounds. And how do you find the right one? How do you find a tutor, a class, or a mentor that's going to be right for you? So I thought, what would be a good way to introduce people to the fact that change is possible is through the journal. I know there are a lot of journals out there, but we are not from a generation that is used to journaling. And, it isn't what we were brought up with. All this arty-farty talking about your feelings. But really, it does help. Trust me, I've been there. And I've been on the other side where everything seems to be against you and you don't talk about it and you feel like a failure. It is crap. I get it. But there is a way out if you're prepared to look for it. When I thought about how can I introduce people to journaling and changing things around, as well as being helpful, it needed to be affordable. And I think I've achieved that because there are other journals out there, but they're not written with us in mind, us 50s, 60-year-olds. And I'm not after just selling you the journal. I do want to develop a community. I run workshops. We can have a Facebook group. We've got the podcast. I don't want people to buy the journal and then think, oh, I don't really get this. It is very self-explanatory, but you know what I mean. I don't want you to feel that you're on your own. That was another thing that I discovered. People do talk about problems today, and having support in people who have a like mind, people who admit they're on their own journey, is very therapeutic. And that, ladies and gentlemen, in a very big nutshell, is why I created the Directory of a Dream Life 50 Plus, My Best Life Journal. Here's this week's life hack. If you've got some DIY to do in the form of painting and decorating, sprucing up before Christmas or Thanksgiving, here's a little hint. Get your pot of paint and take the lid off. Place an elastic, a rubber band round the tin from top to bottom so that the band passes over the top of the open can. Then that band serves as something to remove excess paint from your brush without making a mess of the can. You're welcome. I've also been asked who will benefit from completing this journal. Well, the answer is everyone, because none of us are perfect, even if we think we are pretty damn perfect. There is always the opportunity to try something new and develop in ways that we've never thought of before. So it's relevant to men and women. And as you know, I have written it with the over 50s in mind, bearing in mind that revealing our feelings and innermost thoughts does not come naturally to us, generally. So it can be for yourself. If you're not yet in our age group, you might know somebody, your mum, your auntie, your uncle, who perhaps could do with a little push in the right direction. I think we've all got a grumpy old man in our family, haven't we? Or an auntie who drains you every time you meet her because all she talks about is the bloody weather, Brexit, Boris, my bad knees, money goes nowhere. You know the type. A little prod in the direction of maybe framing things more positively. I think with some people the best approach is to just plant the seed in their mind that there is another way of thinking, and then the appearance of My Best Life Journal might just be what they were looking for. Putting the seed there once you know that something needs addressing, and once you know that there might be a solution, then things start to fall into place. Just a thought in answer to the question, who is the journal aimed at? This one's more of a comment than a question, but it's made more often than I'd like to admit, really, from friends and family. And that is, I'm not into that spiritual, positive thinking fad. Oh, do you believe in that? Now, if it is a fad, then it's the longest lasting fad ever, let me tell you, because it's all been around for centuries. Like positive thinking, law of attraction, meditation, yoga, spirituality. I think it's just been under the radar for a good number of years because we all became too enveloped in materialistic gains and getting offended on behalf of everybody else and pulling each other to pieces. And the other thing to remember about this fad, and the reason why it has transcended the centuries, is that it works. So rather than dismissing it as rubbish, wouldn't it be better to consider what if it isn't rubbish and it could improve your life? Because what if you didn't open your mind to that possibility and you never allowed yourself to consider it? That would be a tragedy. But it is the unknown, and it's easy to close our mind to it. But if you have aspects of your life that you're not happy with, nothing's going to change unless you do. It doesn't just happen. Einstein famously said, if you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. My best life journal is really the first step of the journey for you to just experiment in the privacy of your own head. If you don't learn anything else, you'll find out things about you that you never knew before. There's nothing easy about discovering that you're the one who's been holding yourself back the whole time. Now, one question I got asked recently, which was a new question to me because the journal is newly published, and that was, what is my favourite part of the journal? Well, I created it, so I love it all. But there is one exercise in there that comes after some other work on opening your mind. And I've used it in workshops, and that's why I included it in the journal. But it is very, very effective. So I thought maybe we could just do it now together. As I say, when you work through the journal, by this point you will have done a bit of preparation on opening your mind and looking at different areas of your life. But don't let that put you off, because you can do this as a standalone exercise. So here goes. Now, go and find yourself a pen and paper. Pause this if you want. Are you back? Or did you just decide to do it in your head? That's all right if you can't be bothered moving. I get it. Whether you've got an actual piece of paper or whether you're going to do this in your head on an imaginary piece of paper, draw a circle on the left-hand side of the page. And I want you to write in there or describe in there a bad habit or a bug or a challenge that you have in your life at the moment. Something that you would rather be without. Then below that, answer this question. How does this situation make me feel? Does it fill me with dread? Does it make me cry? Does it make me embarrassed? Then underneath that, answer the question, why do I accept this situation? Is it because I think I'm addicted? Is it because, I've made my bed and I've got to lie in it? I should have worked harder at school. I've never thought of changing. Now, on the right-hand side of the page, I want you to draw another circle and write in there a description of how you visualise your life being improved if you did not have that habit or bug or challenge any longer. So it might mean, if you're a drinker like I was and you drank red wine, one of mine was, I'd have nicer teeth. It can be, I'd have the money to move house. Just write down how you see your life. Then underneath that circle, answer this question. Why do I want this change? Is it because I'm looking for a relationship? I want my family to be proud of me. Is it because it's an ambition I've had since I was a child and done nothing about it? Then underneath that, answer the last question, and that is, what could I do to improve the situation? And that could be something like enrolling on a course or seeing a therapist or patching up an old argument. I want you to do this now because it will give you a good idea about imagining how it would feel to be able to be free of any bad habit or situation that you're in at the moment and that doesn't make you happy. And you will see that it is possible to plan, to achieve, to be free of that shackle. When you've done that, draw an arrow that joins the left-hand circle to the right-hand circle. That arrow represents your journey from where you are now to where you want to be. And what we do in the journal is find a way to break that journey down into easy, manageable, achievable steps. So don't do this exercise too quickly. Either keep pausing the podcast or just write down the questions and go back to them later, because it is quite eye-opening. And as I said earlier, if you've never written down your thoughts and feelings before, this is a good step. And it can be quite hard. It just begins to open your mind to the fact that change is possible. So you might be asking, what is my best life journal? Physically, actually, what do I get? So let me tell you. As I've mentioned before, because I've been journaling for a few years now, I have developed my best life journal on the most useful elements of journals that I've used. What you get is a whole year's worth of content designed with our age group in mind. It's not designed to sit on your coffee table as a status symbol. It's not meant to be shoved in your bag and carried around with you for scribbling notes in. It needs your time and attention. I'll tell you what it looks like. It's a black hardback cover. Inside you've got over 130 full colour pages, and it is all A4 size. Because, do you remember those great big jotters we had at school? I used to absolutely love those workbooky type jotters that we used to scribble in, and they just made me feel so creative. And I found with some journals as well, they encourage you to pour your heart out and do serious soul searching and to write the results in like a box the size of a postage stamp. So what good's that? That would suggest to me they're just out to make money from the journal. They don't actually want to help you. So what's inside my journal? Well, there's a front section. Then there are 4 90-day sections for you to complete as the year goes on, and then additional notes at the back. So I'll walk you through what's inside, content-wise. The front section is designed to guide you to get the most out of the journal, so you're not just thrown into the abyss and expected to come out a changed person. Here's a list of what's inside. How will it work for me? What's best practice? Open your mind and change. Open your mind to gratitude. Tips for change, my top 10 actions. Mantras, there's a whole list, I think it's 30 odd mantras for you to choose one to inspire you each week, and then there's a place to add your own as you come across them. Then we get to the soul searching bit. Here there are a couple of exercises called Introducing You. That's the hardest bit, and it will require a bit of time. Then you move on to the exercise that I mentioned earlier, where you identify what is your big goal to work on for that next 90-day period. Then you've got the 4 90-day sections. Each one includes 90 days of change worksheet, 90 days of change grid, 12 weekly check-in pages, and 12 daily plan pages, one per week, obviously, and 2 90-day reflection pages. Then at the end, you've got some notes on moving forward, where I was versus where I am now, because you will have done a whole year's successful journaling by this point. And then there's room for a couple of thoughts and notes to add your own reflections on the year. If you are interested in ordering my Best Life Journal, go to www.googleit.com/journal early bird. But don't worry about that, I'll put all the links in the show notes. I'm leaving the £23 early bird option up there. The regular price will be £38. There's a delivery option, or I do have a collection point in Standish, Wigan. Every purchase will qualify for 8 free downloadable meditation tracks called Shades of Kepalonia. They were created by my friend and author Jennifer Lynch. Now these will come to you directly as soon as you've paid, automatically. I will keep in touch with you by email and send you any updates to the journal and any exercises that I think will complement what we're trying to achieve. As I said earlier, I don't want it to be just a one-off thing. I want us to feel like we're a community, helping and encouraging each other. Because let's face it, not many people have done that when we were growing up, have they? You were just thrown out into the world and left to sink or swim. Here's this week's quiz question. Which beer advert had the catchphrase, "Looks good, tastes good, and by golly, it does you good"? The answer to last week's question was 1 million. And that's it for this week. I hope you found that interesting. I've got some fantastic interviews set up for future episodes. Please don't forget to like, share and review this podcast and start interacting with us on Facebook and Instagram. Have a fantastic week and I'll see you soon. The Directory of a Dream Life 50 Plus podcast is created and produced by me, Marsha Ogden, and it's available on several platforms. So please keep listening. There are links below in the show notes, and you can also follow me on Facebook. The page name is Marsha at Googleit, which is MARCHIA at AT Googleit, GURGLEIT. Or you can have a look at the website, googleit.com. There are links below to the website and to the workshops and the journal. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, just drop me a line at marsha@googleit.com or leave a voice message on here with details of your topic. Have a fantastic week and I'll see you next time.